Welcome back to a round 2 match of GP Caracas. It's ALittleBlank versus MikeL. ALittleBlank is on Black-Green Deathtouch, a very spicy and interesting deck that uses the Shadow Staff along with Contagious Death in order to stop a bunch of Blight tokens onto the opponent, and it also has an infinite combo with a Canopy Dancer plus the Shadow Staff. Meanwhile, MikeL is on some sort of ramp deck, or a Land Vomit ramp deck, and it's a deck that uses Logger Recluse and Untouched Wilds to get a bunch of lands into play, and then it has some pretty good top end creatures and planeswalkers. So MikeL kept an interesting hand of just all lands plus one epic encounter, which is going to get taken by the Conspiracy of Ravens that ALittleBlank played on turn 1. Not sure what I feel about that decision, because now MikeL just isn't doing anything. Meanwhile, ALittleBlank just gets to play creatures. Well, I guess they do match draw Confirm Hypothesis. Right, MikeL's deck uses Logger Recluse, Untouched Wilds, and Confirm Hypothesis to ramp with shifting lands. So the problem right now is that Confirm can't really hit anything. ALittleBlank swings for 2. Actually, ALittleBlank's stuck on 2 lands, so they can't get the Shadow Staff down right now. But they're just gonna mill. ALittleBlank plays Conspiracy of Ravens, but the good news is MikeL Confirm is already going to be out of MikeL's hand by the time Conspiracy of Ravens happens. So here MikeL can confirm on one of the fetch lands. They're not going to confirm though. In fact, they don't even play confirm in response to Conspiracy of Ravens. Are they that confident that ALittleBlank was going to take Epic Encounter? Well, I guess, yeah, probably. So why is MikeL keeping up confirm? I guess they might want to snag something or some trigger from ALittleBlank. Actually, no, MikeL could have used Confirm Hypothesis to copy Conspiracy of Ravens' last trigger, right? Yeah. So instead, MikeL is just going to use Confirm Hypothesis to ramp, I think. I feel like using Confirm to copy Conspiracy of Ravens' last trigger in order to force the opponent to discard might actually be a better play there. But I guess, yeah, you're ramping anyways. Okay, so I see. So the reason why MikeL didn't confirm in response to Conspiracy of Ravens is because they didn't want to draw a card that would get taken by Conspiracy. And I guess they were just hoping that ALittleBlank is going to take Epic Encounter either ways, as opposed to whatever new card that MikeL could have drawn. So MikeL is up to 5 lands now, or I guess 6 lands after Tendril Snares. So MikeL Tendril Snares the Deadwood Terror, I guess, to prevent it from ever coming back. The Conspiracy is the Ravens happens again, and it's a MikeL with 3 lands in hand, so Conspiracy manages to whiff. Although, if it's whiffing against someone with 3 lands in hand, I don't think that person's super happy about it. So I think both players are kind of out of gas right now. ALittleBlank can play Shadow Staff, but both players do need to draw something in order to actually do stuff. Okay, so ALittleBlank hits MikeL for 1. They're gonna keep Shadow Staff in hand. I mean, okay, what removal is in MikeL's deck anyways? Actually, yeah, good question. I guess Azamir is the only thing that kills. Yeah, Azamir is the only thing that actually kills the Shadow Staff in MikeL's deck, so I'm not sure why ALittleBlank didn't play out immediately. ALittleBlank draws Deadland Scavenger. The Deadland Scavenger, I guess, engorges probably Seraphina. Yeah. So is ALittleBlank finally going to play out the Shadow Staff? Well, I guess they have to hold up. If they want to hold up Pithfold this turn, they can't play out the Shadow Staff. At the same time, what does Pithfold actually hit in MikeL's deck? Oh, okay. I guess it hits the tokens off GQ Champion. Also hits some of the Revelations, or actually all the Revelations. So yeah, MikeL draws even more ramp with Untouched Wilds. Too bad there's nothing that they can use the mana for. ALittleBlank draws another land, so not much action going on. I think ALittleBlank should be playing out Shadow Staff now. Okay, nudge MikeL for 2. Actually, MikeL is pretty low right now. It might be in danger of just dying to a bunch of 1/1s. Oh, actually, never mind. They're in danger of dying to a bunch of 2/2s now, because Deadwood Terror just came back. And MikeL draws Conjure Realities, which is probably one of the better cards they could have drawn here. So what can they conjure for? Actually, did MikeL not fetch before drawing the card? I guess they didn't. minor misplay. They should have fetched first. It's slightly thinner deck. Anyways, it's looking like MikeL's going to conjure realities for epic encounter, and then probably grab what can they grab from the sideboard? Mari maybe? Actually, do you have enough mana to conjure realities and then also GQ a champion? They might have enough mana for that. Or maybe they're actually now that I think about it, maybe they're out of fetchables. How many okay, yeah, they don't have to run that many fetchables. Or they run they run the same number of fetchables as I run in my rejuvenation deck. So yeah, I think they're out of fetchables. So they don't actually have that much mana. They only have 6 mana left. So yeah, they can conjure realities, epic encounter, grab Mari, Dawn Resurgent, and wipe the board, and I guess hope to stabilize from there. So Mari comes down and -3, which destroys all creatures and gains MikeL some life. ALittleBlank still holding on to the useless Pith Weld. You draw a Deadland Scavenger again. It seems like ALittleBlank doesn't have enough mana to play Deadland Scavenger and also flashback a Deadwood Terror. They're just gonna play Seraphina. If I go into play down the Shadow Staff, does Mary kill? No, Mary doesn't kill Shadow Staff, so yeah, there really isn't much point in not playing the Shadow Staff now. Okay, I guess Deadwood Scavenger is also an option, because you want Flax is probably a better option, because summoning Sickness. I guess next turn ALittleBlank is looking to play the Shadow Staff if MikeL plays any blockers. But MikeL just draws a board wipe, so that wasn't necessary anyways. Yeah, MikeL's probably just gonna play Violent Collapse, which clears the board. ALittleBlank does have enough mana for Neltoth plus Deadwood Terror next turn, I think, right? Yeah, they have 7 mana, so they can Neltoth plus Deadwood Terror, which does get pretty decent board. But I think ALittleBlank just would rather go for Eldraine's Masterpiece and hope to hit something. And do they hit anything? They get Deadwood Terror. Nowhere near as impressive as a Deadwood Terror from Graveyard. I think at this point, well, Mari's ready to -3, so ALittleBlank probably doesn't want to play that many creatures. So they probably should just play a Shadow Staff now, and then next turn they can Neltoth, and then no, they're just gonna hold the Shadow Staff in hand. What's ALittleBlank worried about? MikeL doesn't have any. Okay, are you finally gonna play a Shadow Staff down? Yeah, okay. So MikeL draws Tendril Snare, which can just kill Deadwood Terror. And that's what they're gonna do. They can either +1 Mari or -2 Mari. A +1 allows MikeL to keep a Wrath in their back pocket. -2 means that they can actually start attacking with a 4/4 flying angel. Okay, and MikeL +1 their Mari. I guess they're interested in keeping around Wrath. ALittleBlank draws Wayfarer's Shrine. No, probably not what they're looking for, but now they can Neltosh Shaman and then stack it immediately to Deadwood Terror. ALittleBlank's going to attack down Mari. It seems like, yeah, they're going to Deadwood Terror the Eldraine's Masterpiece, which makes sense. And I guess they're keeping back Neltosh Shaman so that if MikeL decides to -3 Mari to wipe the Deadwood Terrors again, then Neltosh Shaman plus Deadwood Terror comes back. MikeL draws another land, not what they want. So MikeL can wipe the board, but they might just be better served -2ing. Yeah, 4/4 Angel, although Angels can't block or can't brick wall the Deadwood Terrors because they have Deathtouch. So yeah, ALittleBlank wisely keeping back the Neltosh Shaman so that they can now do Neltosh Shaman and then bring back Deadwood Terror by sacking Neltosh Shaman. Now MikeL has nothing. They need to top deck something good. So yeah, ALittleBlank going for a Neltosh Shaman play. Neltosh Shaman, mill 2 cards, and then pay 6 mana and sacrificing Neltosh Shaman to get back Deadwood Terror, which makes 2 copies of itself. And now that MikeL doesn't have Mari in play anymore, they need to find a different way of dealing with the Deadwood Terrors. They draw another land. That seems quite unfortunate. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate for them to draw so many lands in a row. But on the other hand, ALittleBlank also isn't drawing that many useful cards. They're probably just gonna play down Seraphina and then attack for 6. But if Seraphina isn't dealt with, then ALittleBlank has lethal next turn. So Seraphina comes down. Basically, whenever Seraphina deals damage to a player, then at the end of turn, they're going to lose life equal to number. They're going to lose double life that turn. And MikeL tops deck another land and concedes. So it looks like they got horribly flooded that game. Looking at sideboards, ALittleBlank, probably Augury and Sullen Secrets, maybe King Florence, because MikeL is playing a sort of a slow deck. So they can probably get in for some Florence hits, and Augury gets rid of the top end, and Stolen Secrets also gets rid of the top end. And on MikeL's side, I mean, having an epic encounter board does make the sideboard a bit more limited. I don't think they really have that many good things to bring in. Oh, actually, no, the Rots, because Rot basically deals with ALittleBlank's entire deck. Okay, but going back to game 2, ALittleBlank, he probably wants to keep this hand because Deadwood Terror, Eldraine, that's probably good enough. Meanwhile, MikeL gets a hand with turn 1 Logger Recluse, and that's always very good for these types of decks because you go up to 3 mana on turn 2, or 3 lands in fact, so your opponent can't bolt your dork or anything. The problem is that MikeL doesn't really have any. Well, they have follow up on turns 3 with Conjure Realities. They don't really have any turn 2 follow up. Like if they had Recall Forgotten Aeons, then their hand would be way better. But the current hand is about as much as you can ask for. So ALittleBlank dropping down their turn 1 Conspiracy of Ravens. MikeL probably looking to at least get something out of their hand before Conspiracy of Ravens triggers. Instead, they just draw another Logger Recluse, and I guess they're just going to swing with it. Yeah, Logger Recluse is surprisingly fast clock, even. Like, if you don't have anything else to do with your mana, you can just start attacking as a 3-3, and lots of times the opponent just will take a few hits from it because it's just a 1-drop. So, ALittleBlank taking Conjure Realities almost certainly, and now MikeL stranded with 2 Logger Recluses in hand and nothing to do with them. ALittleBlank probably running out turn 2 Deadwood Terror. Does serve it as a good blocker for Logger Recluse, but MikeL draws Recall Forgotten Aeons, and yeah, that's really good for them. But now they're not drawing lands. So last game they were flooded, and I guess this game they're getting slightly mana screwed. ALittleBlank plays Eldraine's Masterpiece. Let's see if they actually hit anything this time. And gets out Contagious Death Spore, so that's basically the best case scenario for Eldraine's Masterpiece, and probably the reason that's even in this deck in the first place is to fetch out Contagious Death Spores. So Deadwood Terror swings, and I think MikeL is kind of obligated to just chump block with Logger Recluse. MikeL kind of needs to draw a land here. They don't, but maybe Recall Forgotten Aeons will get them there. Oh, they got 1 land from that. They probably want, they're probably fetching out a forest so that they can play Logger Recluse as a chump blocker. The next turn they have Rot, which will deal with the board and any blight tokens that have accumulated. In fact, it might be better off, might just be better to not play the Logger Recluse right now because it's going to dice the Rot anyways. At the same time, playing out the Logger Recluse does prevent some damage, and it's not like you really value Logger Recluse that much right now. You might as well just throw it away on a chump block. And Canopy Dancer. So, Canopy Dancer plus the Shadow Staff is an infinite combo. The Canopy Dancer untaps whenever it deals damage. Shadow Staff lets it tap to deal damage, so yeah, it goes infinite. So, the question here is ALittleBlank going to run out either combo piece? Because if they do and it runs, they just run into Rot. And okay, so ALittleBlank does run out Canopy Dancer, so MikeL can use Rot to deal with the board, and it wipes absolutely everything, including the blights. No, ALittleBlank draws in their Shadow Staff. Probably not what they're looking for. Actually, if they did play Shadow Staff last turn instead of Canopy Dancer, that would have been quite the clutch play, just baiting out because you don't need second Shadow Staff. Anyways, MikeL draws Drifting Morass, so now they're up to 6 mana. And now they probably want to play a Logger Recluse just as a blocker. Or they can also epic encounter for something. Not sure what though exactly, but they definitely have something. And instead, they're just going to play Stand Only Saleable and gain some life. Like that's probably a bit premature for Stand Only Saleable, or at least you should be doing something that affects the board instead of just playing Stand Only Saleables, but maybe you just don't have anything better to do. So MikeL playing Logger Recluse with no green source on top, so you can't actually trade with Seraphina. but that you really need to because the Shadow Staff is how Seraphina is doing its damage. ALittleBlank plays Deadland Scavenger and probably gorging Eldraine's Masterpiece. Reyna swings. Is MikeL going to chump? Yeah, they're actually going to chump that. I should have played Down Unstable if you plan to use Logger Recluse to block, because at least you could have traded with Seraphina. But I guess ALittleBlank is probably going to run out the Shadow Staff now because they have 3 mana left and nothing else to do with it. The next rot will get Eldraine's Masterpiece into ALittleBlank's hand. I think MikeL forgot to crack 15 Morass. Not that it matters too much because, well, I guess it depends on what they try to epic and counter for. Instead, they're going to Violent Collapse. A pretty small board, but maybe they're just worried. And now that gets Eldraine's Masterpiece into ALittleBlank's hand though, so ALittleBlank might just be building up another board soon. MikeL decides to epic encounter. So it's 7 mana. Plug in Mari. His Tricky Champion's a bit far off right now. Yeah, they're just gonna fetch Mari. And yeah, pass the turn. Good news is I don't think ALittleBlank has hand attack currently. They might have boarded in Stolen Secrets, but we need to top deck that. Okay, back into Dam, that's quite good. ALittleBlank, but is there a way for them to get lethal this turn? No, not really. So they're gonna Eldraine's Masterpiece and see what they hit. And I think they just whiffed. Yeah, that's the problem with Eldraine's Masterpiece in this deck. It doesn't have all that many hits, so it can easily whiff. I guess the pyro of just hitting Contagious Death Spore off Eldraine's Masterpiece is just too much to resist. Oh yeah, they can just let's recall Forgotten Aeons. Now MikeL has even more lands in play and even some more cards to back it up with. ALittleBlank draws their third Shadow Staff, so probably not what they're looking for. Definitely not what they're looking for. Eldraine's Masterpiece swings through Recall Forgotten Aeons because I guess MikeL really doesn't want to trade with 3 mana 1/1 that already got most of its value back from ETB. Okay, so back in the Dam gets back to things, and MikeL is looking like a really good rot here for MikeL. So rot wipes entire board, including Conspiracy of Ravens that was going to go off next turn, and it prevents the ALittleBlank from getting a combo kill this turn. That's why MikeL's own Revelation, but I don't think MikeL minds too much because they've already drawn all the cards they needed off the Revelation. The bias is a bonus. So ALittleBlank. It's Stolen Secrets. Are they going to Stolen Secrets and Mari? Because ALittleBlank does know about the Mari in MikeL's hand. And yeah, ALittleBlank's gonna name Planeswalker to get rid of the Mari. And you see Tendril Snare. So not anything that's super threatening. ALittleBlank's probably gonna run out the Shadow Staff again. Because they already have more than enough. And Spirit's getting destroyed. MikeL is pulling ahead in the game by coalescing Recall Forgotten Aeons again though. And that draws into MikeL's third rot. So seems like MikeL has been getting a pretty good rot this game, getting out the rot against a deck that absolutely loses to rot. So 2 swings from Recall Forgotten Aeons will end the game in short order for MikeL. Guess they might also want to play Logger Recluse, so put on some extra pressure in case ALittleBlank had blockers. ALittleBlank draws Eldraine's Masterpiece. That's a pretty good draw for them. So they're going to play Eldraine and see what they hit, probably. And if they hit something that's too threatening, then MikeL's going to rot the board again. ALittleBlank flips Deadwood Terror off Eldraine. Not the best thing that they could have hit, but way better than just whiffing. I think ALittleBlank is just going to pass the turn here. MikeL's probably in the lead. Okay, ALittleBlank passes his turn. Not much else to do. MikeL draws down Unassailable, so they got plenty of Revelations to start casting with all their mana. Board probably isn't threatening enough to rot just yet, but they might want to Tendril Snare the Deadwood Terror so it stops coming back. Okay, but they're just going to coalesce Recall Forgotten Aeons and drive in more cards. Or that sort of showcases the power of Recall Forgotten Aeons in these rampy decks. Both ramps and draws you cards on in the early game, and then it also ramps and draws you cards in the late game after you've already used their ramp spells. The next turn, MikeL is probably looking to conjure realities, a GQ champion or something. But yeah, they're gonna Tendril Snare the Deadwood Terror to prevent it from coming back, and to I guess get more lands. Well, okay, so MikeL attacks with the 5-6 and 3-3. Assuming ALittleBlank is going to use the Deathtouch 1-1 to block. So yeah, ALittleBlank's just gonna throw away Eldraine's Masterpiece to trade with one of the 5-6s. And what does ALittleBlank draw here? Another land, not what they're looking for. So, and then ALittleBlank just concedes because MikeL is lethal there. So for game 3, ALittleBlank gets a hand that, it's you discard spells and some creatures, so they're probably keeping that. MikeL gets Lager Recluse Conjure Reality, still very close to their hand last game, or I guess in one of their games. And yeah, and the Conspiracy of Ravens even comes down on turn 1. So, but the good news is MikeL draws Rot, so Conspiracy of Ravens is sort of obligated to take Rot here, which means that MikeL gets to keep around Conjure Realities. And they probably will just conjure for Recall Forgotten Aeons because to ramp them even higher. I guess they might recall for a Rot if they are in some sort of emergency. ALittleBlank, Stolen Secrets. Okay, yeah, they can just hit Conjure Realities because they already know what's in MikeL's hand, and it's 1 spell and 3 lands. ALittleBlank also playing Deathtouch Shaman just to play out. MikeL draws Conjure Realities anyways. Because now MikeL decides whether to attack with Lager or not. They refuse to. Now ALittleBlank can swing in with their one Deathtoucher, and suddenly King Florence is coming in, and Lager Recluse can't deal with it. Now MikeL is probably alright with taking extra damage, but they decide to discard lands instead, which makes sense. They don't really need all that land. Although they kind of do if they're gonna Conjure Realities for Recall Forgotten Aeons because you want extra lands in hand in order to drop off a Recall. Yeah, I know Conjure Realities or Recall Forgotten Aeons probably. Okay, and MikeL Conjure Realities. I think Tendril Snare instead. I guess they really do need to deal with King Florence. Look, I guess Tendril Snare does technically ramp them too, but now MikeL doesn't really have anything in hand. They need to start top decking stuff. Now both players are on plenty of lands. And ALittleBlank also draws more land. I think this match has just been a land-heavy game. Both the players flooding out or just not drawing stuff other than lands. Yeah, MikeL follows it up with a land of their own. Not playing down Lager Recluse. I probably would have played down Lager Recluse just to block. And okay, never mind, a little blank top deck Shallow Staff and gets an infinite combo off with Canopy Dancer. And MikeL just concedes. That game flipped very quickly after ALittleBlank just top decked their combo piece. I guess there wasn't really that much MikeL could have done that game. Actually, yeah, in game 1 either, because MikeL was just being horribly flooded both games.